Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be starting with block 4 of MJM022. This block deals with the aesthetic dimensions of a news presentation. We'll be starting with Unit 12 of Block 4, known as Page Layout. This unit deals with the characteristics and the features of a page layout and various layout formats. Let us dive into the meaning of page layout. Page layout is a part of graphic design that deals in the arrangement and style treatment of on a page. The placement and arrangement of text, image, and various other elements on a page is known as layout. Every page has a definite layout. It is a layout which makes the page presentable, readable, and appealing to the eyes. So it doesn't matter how good the content is if there is not an effective or attractive layout. As Jennifer Tendwell said, page layout is the art of manipulating the user's attention on a page to convey meaning, sequences, and points of interactions. So any page layout is designed by a number of people. So the people involved in this task are visualizer and designer, photographer, illustrator, composer, finishing artist, and DTP operator. So now let us start with the stages of a layout. The first stage of layout is known as visualization. Visualization is the concept or idea thought by a designer put onto the paper from mind. You use a pen or pencil, and whatever you have visualized, you just draw a roughly just draw whatever you want the page to look like. The second is the thumbnails. This is the different sketches that are prepared by placing the elements of the page differently. This is known as a trial and testing stage, and can be done very quickly. It is very economical, and at least 6 trial of layouts can be drawn on one A4 sheet paper. The next stage is a rough layout. So the best option is chosen from the thumbnails, and it is drawn to the actual size of a finished layout, and all the elements are indicated clearly and accurately. A rough layout is usually made to give presentations to the editorial team or the other seniors of the organization. So a rough layout can be of two types. It's The first one is a working rough. So a working rough, here the designer acts as the client himself, and he rejects or approves the working rough before preparing the finished rough. Working rough is a guide for the DTP operator, photographer, and the printer. The next is the finished rough. Finished rough looks like a finished copy of the layout, and all the elements here are accurately presented with regard to the size, the style, the spacing, placing, etc. Everything is accurately given. You can see in the photographs, or you can distinguish a working rough with a finished rough. Now, the last stage of a layout is the comprehensive. It is a dummy layout that of the page that is produced with the exact placement of the text, graphic, and colors on a printed sheet. So this will show how the layout will look in print. Now, what are the elements of a page layout? You can see the cover page of National Geographic here. So, the first element is color. Color is a very important element, as each color has its own association in the human mind. So, a poor choice of color may ruin the whole layout. So, while choosing a color, the theme, the idea behind, and the target audience must be kept in the mind, and the text color must always be in contrast with the background color. The next element is known as text. As we talk of a layout, it is a combination of both the text and the images. So both aspects must be kept in mind with the designer. So a text has several attributes. It can be bold, it can be italic, it can be underlined, and there are hundreds of fonts to choose from. So with the help of the computer, a dramatic effect in the text can be easily created. So, what needs to be taken care of is the fact that the text must be easy on the eye, clear, and legible to the reader. The content must never be overpowered by the effects. The next is the size of of the page. The size of the page is another important factor that needs to be kept in the mind, because knowing the page size is tells us the exact space we have to work with. The size of a design must be in harmony with the page size to ensure effectiveness of of the same. The next is bleeds and margins. A bleed basically extends the graphical element past the document size so that when the piece is being trimmed, there are no white lines around the document. And for the same reasons, appropriate margins in your document should also be kept. The last element of any page layout is the purpose. The purpose behind the layout should absolutely be clear to the designer. What is the layout all about? From whom it is intended? All such questions must be answered before the text of the layout is started. For example, this National Geographic Planet or Plastic is a science magazine. So, the target audience here are people who are interested in science, who are interested in environment. But if we take a fashion magazine or a women's magazine, the layout would be rather a different one.
Thanks, Milisha. Thanks, Arul sir, for giving me opportunity. So, layout plays a significant role in page designing. The effectiveness of layout depends on the arrangement of its individual elements as well as the overall visual hierarchy formed by them. Since there is no end of innovation, hence there are numerous types of possible arrangement and patterns that can be thought of by the designer. For a good layout, it is essential to keep the following elements in mind. The arrangement should be such that the most important part of the content, be it in text form or the picture, must be located at the position which can grab the most attention. Second one, color scheme of the page should be in harmony with the content. And third one, there should be some white space in the page to give a visual relief to the eyes. Fourth, the size of text should depend on the importance of the content. For example, the most important information is in the headline, so size of the same must be in maximum and so on. Fifth, despite being independent element of a layout, the image and the text part must be complement each other. Apart from the above mentioned checklist, it is very important that the layout of a page should be in accordance with the topic and keeping in mind the convenience of the readers. Otherwise, the reader's interest may be lost. All type of print publication are made with the help of collection of several pages. Depending on the type of publication, the page layout is altered. Let us now proceed to know the layout pattern for some of the common print publications: newspaper, brochure, pamphlet, booklet. First one, newspaper. Uh, most newspaper are printed in two formats or sizes. They are broadsheet and tabloid. Uh, broadsheet. Broadsheet is the larger newspaper format and is characterized by long vertical pages. It is usually in the size 13 inches wide and 21 inches in length. And the content in broadsheet is of serious nature. Hence, clarity of the content form the core focus rather than the element of designing and the effect. The, the broadsheet has since emerged as the broadsheet has since emerged as the most popular format for the dissemination of printed news. The word most widely circulated English language daily broadsheet is Times of India, a leading English language daily newspaper of our country. Now I proceed on tabloid. So tabloid, it is usually 11 inches wide and 14 inches in length. The pages of tabloid usually contain 4 to 5 columns. The nature of content is considerably less serious in a tabloid as compared to a broadsheet, and therefore there is ample scope for innovation, layout, and placement. So now I proceed on brochure. Brochure. A brochure is primarily an advertising material. It may be used to advertise locations, events, products, or services. The primary aim of a brochure is to give information to the reader which can be captured at a glance. Hence, language used in the brochure must be simple and easy to understand. Also, the design should be eye-catching. Brochure may come in all shapes and sizes and serve many purposes. It may even be produced from a single sheet of letter sized paper with 2, 3, or 4 folds. Keeping in mind the aim of brochure, the layout should be such that the text written in the same should be straight to the point and maximum information should be given in the form of bullet points. The colors should be catchy and text should be in the very conversational manner. Now I proceed on pamphlet. A pamphlet is an unbound booklet that is without any hardcover or binding. It is generally consist of single sheet of paper. You can that is printed on both sides and folded in half, third, or fourths to form a small booklet. Pamphlets are cheap and easy to produce and are mainly printed for mass distribution. The quality of the paper usually also of low quality. A pamphlet can contain anything from information on kitchen appliance to medical information and religious treatise. Pamphlets have also been used as an important tool of political protest and political campaigning. The layout for a pamphlet should be focused more on the content rather than the designing. The text should be less and the message should be crisp and direct. There is less use of picture in pamphlet. Now booklet. Um, it is small book that carries a number of pages joined together either by stapling or stitching. Booklet comes in a variety of shapes and sizes, but the most preferred size for the same is 4 into 8 inches. Since a booklet usually has more than 2 pages, thus there is scope of arranging text as well as visual on the page. Also, if possible, distinct color scheme can be used for every page. But here also the simplicity of language and the avoiding the difficult word is what need to be special taken care of. Now I try to sum up the whole session. After getting to know about the page layout with the help of definitions and detailed description of the same, various stages of the layout planning process were discussed. This was followed by the basic element to be considered during layout planning, which was explained in detail. Then the importance of a good layout was discussed. Also, a checklist for a good and effective layout was given. Lastly, the layout format for different print publication like newspaper, brochure, pamphlet, booklet discussed. Thus, an attempt was made in this unit to explain the page layout process beginning from the scratch and going step by step while bringing to light different aspects for the same. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.